So today, guys, we're going to be working on Chicano history / the Chicano movement. The reason we're doing this is not sort of to move away from the 60s. This is still in the 60s. It's more something late 60s. I know yesterday we talked about Vietnam War. This is in the same same area and the same time period. So we'll go on to this actual lesson here. So here, for this slide here, we have our introduction, and this is all of the standards we're going through for today's lesson. Most of this is based off of Arizona state standards, and most of it is based off of religion, people, and movement of societies. And we'll go through all of that in this short lesson here. And then for our objective / sort of thing we're looking for is that we'll be able to accurately list and explain various Chicano landmarks and civil rights leaders in order to understand the events of today in regards to immigration and to understand the impact tradition and heritage has on a race. So, does that make sense? Yeah. So this is our agenda for today. We're going to go through our warm-up, a little gather work I've prepared for you guys. We'll do an exit ticket. I do have some more homework for today. It's on the board to the left for you guys. But if you guys can, write this on the top of your notes here. It's asking you guys, how does your heritage impact your life? Don't answer that quite yet. We're just going to be thinking of that while we're going through our lesson. And then we'll sort of go back to this in our exit ticket. So again, quick warm-up, gallery walk, or exit ticket, and then I'll introduce the homework. Everyone got this down here? Yeah. Awesome. So for our warm-up, or I usually call it our huddle, it's going to be a little bit different. So in our notebooks, again, with our we're going to work with some partners. So around where you guys are sitting, or with whoever you'd like to, we're going to work on looking at a couple images, and I won't say nothing about them yet, and we'll go on to looking at what they are after each image. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. But before I start this, when I said I introduced we're going to do the Chicano movement, do you guys know what Chicano means? No. So a Chicano person basically means someone who is an American who has parents who were born in a Latin country. An example would be me. Both of my parents are from Mexico, so I would be considered Chicano. Does that make sense? Chicano X or Chicanx or Latinx, however you guys decide for that. So here's our first image. So again, for the instructions, talk, see what you guys think about what this is. And once you guys are done talking, write that down and we'll go through this picture. So here's our first picture here. So go ahead and, with your partners, talk about what you think this is.
I feel like they're celebrating. I feel like they're like, they just got it's the guy in the
Good observation. So you're gonna write that down once you guys are talking about. Write that down so we can sort of look at that.
I like how you're dressed. Not you. Yeah.
So looking at this first image, you guys, what can we see here? What do you guys see here? Go ahead.
They look like proud to represent where they're from or their country.
So sort of representing who they are. Perfect. Yeah, it could be where they're. Hey, I'm proud of who I am. Go ahead, MJ.
Looks like maybe it must be a parade or something.
Could be a parade. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of cars. People are holding up stuff. What else do we see here? What else do we see? What?
It could be protesting.
Could be, yeah, very much so. It could be protesting. Obviously, they're holding up something. What about the two people on the trunk? What about them?
They're like
Younger kids. So they're younger. They're protesting. So what does that mean that they're younger? What does this mean for this issue then? If you have younger kids fighting for it, what could that mean?
It's like affecting everyone.
There we go. It's affecting everyone. So it's not just an issue for a certain percentages for the whole population, possibly. Then what else do we see here? Anything about what they're doing? Maybe what this kid's doing here. What about that? I know I heard maybe you, MJ, talking about it, or someone was talking about where he has his fist up. What does that mean?
It's kind of like fighting for justice.
Yeah, for justice, power, maybe. Some people think it's power or justice. We can see sort of, in this picture especially, guys, we'll see the different types of clothing in the car culture for this Chicano one. So this next one, same instruction, guys, talk about it, write it down, and we'll see what you guys think. There's our second image here.
So they know their and then they're still there.
Good observations, guys. For sure.
That's what I was thinking about. They definitely want justice.
All right. So looking at this image here, then, what can we say about this one? What can you guys say about it? Go ahead.
It looks like a protest and they're like not afraid to stand up for their freedoms.
So, yeah, so they're probably not afraid. Anything else we can share? Go ahead. Tim.
It might be like a group of workers who are walking out.
Oh. Good observation. Maybe they are walking out. Go ahead, MJ.
One of like the main things that stuck out to me was how like most of the signs say justice on them.
Yeah, most of them say justice. So they'll be in Spanish, so they'll say justice de justicia, justicia, or marcha de justicia, which is march of justice. And then we have Mecha Nogales, where this is at. That's in California, so pretty close to the border. And obviously, we will not be intimidated. What else do we see in this picture? Go ahead, Blake.
There's a lot of younger kids.
Yeah, still a lot of younger kids, so we can see it's still a big issue. What else do we see here in regards to maybe culture? Go ahead.
It's like a religious figure.
Religious figure. Yes, there's a religious figure. Who can tell me who that is? Either? Yeah. Is that what you were gonna say?
No, I was gonna say the crowd is like pretty mixed in terms of like skin tones.
Yeah, so there's many different people. So obviously, it's not just one Hispanic group. It's not just, for instance, not just Mexican people. It's the whole Latin culture. And then who is this again? The Virgin Mary. So as we see when we talked about our learning goal, one of it was to look at how different things impact culture. So for the Hispanic culture, a large proportion of them are Catholic, and the Virgin Mary has to do a lot with what they do. For instance, for me, the church I go to is named after her. My mom is named after her. My grandma's named after her. So that religious figure has a lot to do with what they're doing, obviously. We'll go into our third image. Same instructions for that. And this one here, guys, really take a look at this one, because this one really connects with our class period yesterday when we talked about the Vietnam War. Go ahead and share with your partners, guys. Stay on task.
I feel like America's fighting more for other countries than their own. Yeah.
So let's make sure we're on task too. Make sure we're on task, MJ. Please. Okay, so I know it's a little bit hard to see, but what do you guys think about this picture? What can we say about it? Go ahead, MJ.
Well, it looks like a big group of people, and they're like almost like rallying and like have big signs and stuff, and they're trying to just fight for like something that's wrong.
So another protest, and it looks like there's more people, maybe a bit more organized. Yeah. What else can we say? Go ahead, Mary.
You can kind of see like where this all started from, because this is if you remember Uber Salazar. Like,
Yes.
Like kind of like something happened to like make it happen.
To that person. Okay, perfect. So maybe something happened that caused this. What else can we say about this? Go ahead, Tatum.
Their sign says our fight is at home, not in Vietnam.
So what can we say about that then?
I think it's because like they think instead of like focusing on fighting like other world affairs, they should be focusing on like fixing civil rights in the States.
So instead of our issues abroad, well, not our issues here. Can anyone tell me another situation that's very similar to this that we talked about? Maybe? In World War II, we talked about a very similar situation. Anyone remember that? Sort of where we talked about another race that had a lot of the same issues here. Go ahead, MJ.
Was it like the Holocaust?
Similar, well, yeah. Well, they're getting discriminated, yeah.
Yeah.
How about in the war? What group do you guys think is very similar? Go ahead.
African Americans.
Right, so remember when we talked about World War II and a couple of sessions ago where we talked about we're going to war for World War II, right? Everything's cool, but when we get there, obviously we're still segregated. So when we get there, when we're fighting next to a country, let's say like France, they're intermingled. So why would it make sense for us to fight for a country? This is exactly what this is here. where our fight is there. Anybody know what this says here? It says raza si guerra, no? Does anybody know what that means? So, yeah, exactly. So our race first, no war. Exactly. Great job on that one. Here's our next image here. Hopefully you guys recognize this figure here. And talk amongst your partners. Talk about what's happening here.
No other time. They work on
Great observations on here. Good. Let's get on track. Let's go ahead and talk about this one real quick. What can we say about this picture here, this image? What can we say about it? Go ahead, MJ.
It looks like people are gathering around like one specific person trying to talk to them.
Perfect. So maybe they're gathering around a toxic person. Go ahead, Taven.
You can see people around him like taking pictures to like spread the news.
So it's probably a huge event, then there's a lot of reporters and stuff. What else can we say? Go ahead.
They're all looking up to him, so he must be their leader, some of whatever they're doing.
Something pretty important. Who can tell me who this is? Wait a minute.
That's Cesar Chavez.
This is Cesar Chavez, yes. Anything else we can say about this here? What?
Why is he like an important figure in like this image? Like what did he do?
So we're looking at a couple things in this image here. So this is after his Delano food strike. Do you guys heard about the Delano food strike? So the Delano food strike is basically looking at the concept that for this specific company called Delano Grapes, they mistreated workers. They paid them around 45 cents a day. So keep in mind, 45 cents is basically really nothing for people. They'd also use a lot of pesticides. There's a lot of people getting sick. They're working long hours, and they're just basically treating farmers in the most horrible way. This here for the part of the Chicano movement is later on when he's talking about the concept of segregation for Mexican Americans and all Latinx people. Do you guys remember on Friday when we looked at the MLK documentary where we had Maria, who after he came back, she was cleaning the grounds and stuff like that? That's the reality of this situation here where most Hispanic people, most Latinx people are viewed as that, as lazy people, and most of them are not allowed to go to school, especially colleges. Here he's talking at a brown college in order for them to have the ability to go to college. Does that make sense? So I understand? Okay, perfect. Anything else we can say about this picture? No? Perfect. So again, we looked at 4 different pictures. So our next one, we're going to go ahead and move on to our gallery walk. So on a new page of paper, guys. So we're going to walk around. I have the stuff here real quick. So we're going to, in our groups, we're going to walk around sort of around the classroom. We'll have different stations that have different things. And I have the example here of how I'd like your notes organized. There's basically a cross section or a T. Each section has the before, so label before, just like it says up there. Before, the court cases, the Latinx organizations, and important activists or figures. So each square should have their little title, and they're up there as well. They don't have to be in order, guys, just if you have them in those 4 squares. So basically, once we have that note section, then we're going to visit each area. And you guys are going to work in groups, obviously. So if you guys are in that corner there, it's going to be U6 over here, top front here, and then U6 over here, and then that back corner as well. You guys are going to visit each station. And for each station, you have some time to create your own notes. So there'll be a variety of information on these here that I'm holding up. You're going to write down 3 different pieces of information, obviously in your own words. That way you have a better understanding of what we're looking at here. Any questions on that? That makes sense? Making sense? Perfect. So again, we're just copying that T-chart for now. We're writing up these station names. I'm gonna put these down real quick. I'm gonna put this at your desk down real quick. All right, any questions on this? Ready to move on? All right. So, for our gallery walk then, once you guys have enough information in regards to the 4 stations, what we're gonna do is you're gonna sit back down with your partners, and you're gonna talk about another Latinx activist you guys have researched on your own, or possibly, and also another court case that revolves around the Chicano movement, so there's many other ones. So what I'd like you guys to do is, let's say we're having a specific person you look up, so for my example here, for an activist, I chose Chicano Sanchez. Chicano Sanchez is basically a famous artist, corrido artist, who has influenced hundreds upon hundreds of artists. Basically, he is part of the Musician Hall of Fame for Mexico, and then basically he's part of my everyday life, so that's someone I listen to every day. So that's someone who's impacted me personally. So you can pick someone that's impacted you personally, or maybe someone that infected the movement as well. Does that make sense? So you're gonna be doing your own research in regards to that. Once you guys are done with each 4, once you guys are done with the 4 sections and your own research, you're gonna raise your hand, I'm gonna check off on that. So I'll be walking around in case you guys have questions. And then again, once you guys are done with that, go ahead and upload it to the Google Classroom. There's gonna be a section for that. It'll be worth 50 points. So once you guys know who your group is in each station that we usually do, go ahead and stand up and we'll walk around and get our notes done. Make sense? Perfect.
So,
How
Yes.
often are we,
Oh, thank you.
how often are we switching?
So once you're done with this, you're gonna move on. How we doing over here? Good? Great. Awesome. Back to this. Activist, cool. How you guys doing over here? Good? Which do we have over here, the organizations or?
The court cases.
Okay, okay. And what do we have over here?
It's with
Organizations, how you guys doing? You guys over here, oh, the floor. You guys doing good over here? Smart idea there. So again, guys, it's 3 pieces of info in your own words, and we'll switch to each station, and then the rest of it's gonna be up there.
Do you know what the program ended?
The Bracero program, it actually ended before World War. So it's actually very early in history. That's gonna be, once, I'm sorry, usually it talks about basically where we're letting people in. So after we get to, yeah, so once we actually, still interject, you guys can move as well. So basically, you invite people, and once people say, hey, just wait, so they literally, like I said, they train, deep into the. Are
we ready?
Yeah, so once you guys are done with that and your group seems to be sure to move on.
This one. I thought we were going to go.
Yeah, you can do clockwise, that's perfect, however you guys want to do it. Awesome, great movement. There's learning afoot.
This was.
Label them. before or next, court cases, and it'll be at the top. So it's just 3 pieces of evidence. Any questions on the other court cases so far?
What does this mean?
Which one?
What is, was
Raza or Unida means like race together.
Oh, okay.
This is bilingualism, right?
Yes. Exactly that too. Any questions on any of the before stuff? Pretty straightforward. Any questions on any of the branches I have on here?
Are you serious? I'm like super excited.
And let's make sure our conversations are about our topic here, just for that. But you guys keep talking about whatever is on that paper for sure. Good idea to take a picture of it. So again, guys, once you have reached each station, we're gonna sit back down and we're gonna, with your partner, still research your own person, just like I did up there with Talino Sanchez, and then your own court cases. There's many of them to look on. Google Scholar, just Google.
Let's go.
This is perfect. Make sure your group is, all of you are sort of done, and then you guys move on to your whatever station's next for you. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
So is this one the fourth one?
Should be. It doesn't really matter what order you got them, but you get to the 4 stations. Awesome. That's what I was thinking of. The president I was thinking of was President Eisenhower. So the question you asked me earlier, the president was Eisenhower. Yes.
Did their new party that they made like win any elections or anything?
No. It's sort of like what they did is sort of like we talked about earlier in the elections before with their parties. So what that did actually is increase the amount of people that moved over to the Democratic side. But they did run for a couple licensure. It did move people into office, but not a presidency. So it did win some elections, but not the largest ones.
Thank you.
Of course. Almost done, I can see. I can see your guys' notes. Great job on your notes. Yes,
What does it mean by cultural recognition?
we're looking at here.
Caesar
So basically,
Chavez.
we're looking at, we want to be seen as a culture of people, not just lazy people. They want their cultures to be recognized outside and then obviously at the political level.
Okay.
So that way they're recognized as the equal people and not just those people.
Thank you.
For sure. No, Dolores Puerta is. He died, I believe, in 1997. Dolores Puerta, who is his main partner, is. A lot of his children are still alive.
Yeah, he wasn't related to it was just his like, you said like his mentor.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
I was looking at World War II posters. The Hispanic ones are always so fun.
Oh yeah.
I gotta show you some, like, they're actually so good.
A lot of the art is based off of the culture, so there'll be like a lot of aspects like things and stuff.
That's fun.
Right.
So again, once you guys have sat down and you're looking at that, we're gonna create our own, little research thing. We're in that same section where you have the Latinx activist section, and then we have the court case. You're gonna look for your own. So in your groups, you can say, hey, I found this person or this person. Like the example I gave you guys, Vitalino Sanchez, the famous singer. That's a great example. You could do a singer, another activist, or someone that you found that's very important. Some people even did like an example for my first period class. They did Selena, who's a very important figure for music as well. That's an option too. So you guys are you can use Google Scholar, whatever you guys think is more helpful for you guys. But once you guys are done with that, raise your hand and I'll walk around and I'll check up on them. Yes. So you're basically you're researching your own person that's involved with the Chicano or Latinx movement, or it can be just in that culture. That way we have a better idea what the culture is about. So you can pick, like I said, I chose a musician, and he's way after the Chicano movement, but that's someone that for me impacted my life and a lot of other people's. So that's an example there.
So can you do something like more current?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that'd be a bit more current. Some people like this Selena. Some people, someone did. He did George Lopez, and that's perfect. He's a very important figure too. Another example is like Vin Diesel. He's somebody that's important as well. Yeah, Vin Diesel works too. Yes.
Do you have like a few sentences, like a paragraph?
Yeah. So you could just do a couple sentences in regards to these things. So if we're talking about the person, what they're famous for the court case, when it was, what the outcome was, and that way I know what we're looking at. Go ahead.
Wait, so we threw someone that we did research about.
So none of the people that were on one of our stations, so again, it could be anybody, it could be current, it could be before this, just someone that you feel is valuable to the heritage or to the tradition of the Latinx culture or Chicano culture. So again, like my example, Chalino Sanchez is one. It's great. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just about, civil rights and stuff like that. You can go beyond that as well for the scope. That's an example for sure. Again, don't be, talk to your partners. Maybe they found someone you have them with. Go ahead.
Was the Mendez versus Westminster on the paper?
Let me see. I believe it was. Yes, that one was. Yes, it was. Like an example, guys, that you guys can use and look at is Miranda versus Arizona. That's an example there. That's an example of one. There's many other ones, obviously, but that's one of the first ones you might pop up on. So again, once you guys have, both your person and your court case, raise your hand, I'll go around and check those for you. And then after that, we have one more thing to look at, and then we'll be dandy. Oh, awesome. Great choice. So listen to your music almost every day. Great choice. Let's see. Yeah. I helped. So we chose a good chord. Remember, it's perfect. Then who's your person? Yeah, one more. Just pick a person and then call me back. That's exactly what happened. So we start getting away from discriminatory action. So another example you guys could do for the court case, if you guys look up what Bill SB 1070 is for Arizona, that got moved away. That's a great example too. So SB 1070. Does anybody know what that is just by me saying the numbers?
I don't know.
Okay,
Sorry.
No, no worries.
Sophie Cruz.
Great choice.
Yeah, she's like 9 years old. No, she is.
Oh, and then who's your person? Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think she is. Yes, good choice. Very, very influential figure. So we got here. Awesome. There we go. Corky, yep. So we all know Corky. So SB 1070 is a law passed for the sheriffs who are allowed to ask for Social Security once people are stopped. That was removed a couple years ago. Perfect. Great choice. Okay, perfect, perfect. And the person? Perfect, almost done there. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, great job there. So again, guys, it doesn't have to be an activist. It can be someone you feel is important to the culture. That, like I did over there again with Chicano. Awesome, great choice. So we got your everything?
I got this one here, court case.
Awesome, great choice there. Awesome. Waiting for that one. Did you have your? Awesome. Perfect. Great choice. I'll be back. There you go.
So like I'm just trying like when it occurred, why did it occur, and what the outcome of the and like because mine took place in the court. Because like it takes some cases take place in so either there's always a Supreme or you get
Perfect.
so depending on the answer is and it depends on the or you feel person like
You
so
have
like
your
right there and what they did and then it was how they
poetry. I have a poetry over there. Who else is still working on their own research? Some people, okay. So let's make sure we're on task, guys, and then we get through this. We go to our exit ticket. A lot of people in the court case you guys have found real good ones, and all of them have been landmarks, and also very influential people. There we Awesome, awesome, awesome. See where else. Anyone else still working on our little research project? Oh. All right, so now that we've sort of finished our God work, we have an idea of how these, not only is it activists, but different people that bring a different heritage sort of move the movement in regards to the Chicano movement, and then today as well, when we look at different politics in regards to racist immigration. So for our ICT, I thought I'd do a little fun one here. So again, heritage and tradition impact many people. So in your guys' journal, write me a little paragraph in complete sentences about your own heritage and how it's impacted you. My mini example is tamales here, so we have those every Christmas, and that's something that I look forward to every year. That's how it's impacted, me and my family. So go ahead and, write how that has impacted you. So maybe you celebrate the 24th instead of the 25th, or something you guys do on a specific holiday. Go ahead and write those down for me. And when you guys are working on that, yeah.
Are we showing this to you when we're done or when we leave?
So basically, when you guys are walking on, I'll check them.
Okay.
And then I'll show you guys the homework really quickly. This is sort of an expansion of our exit ticket. So I thought it'd be fun for our block day to bring in a little example of your heritage. Whether that be, an image of you and your family, what you guys are doing, just something that you feel is something cool enough to share to the classroom in regards to your heritage. Let me go back to the exit ticket here, and then that homework will be posted as well, so you guys have, remember it's under an announcement. So again, a little paragraph about how your heritage has impacted you. Any questions on any part of the lesson or anything like that, guys? Everything straightforward? Awesome, awesome. You have a better understanding of what the Chicano movement was and what it's for. Perfect. And then we see sort of a cross section again, like we talked about for, the Chicano movement in the Vietnam War. So once you guys are writing, anybody want to share before I sign off on them? What you guys wrote down for your heritage, and like I shared, tamales. Anybody share? Go ahead,
I don't know if it really counts as like one thing. Every single holiday when my family gathers, each family makes a specific food and they do that for every single holiday.
Okay, so it's a little tradition.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. That's something cool. Anybody else have something they do that's sort of a tradition or something a part of your heritage you'd like to share? Go ahead.
Maybe celebrating quinceañeras.
Oh, quinceañeras, yeah. Those are always fun. My sister had one last year. It was real fun.
My family celebrates Chinese New Year's or Lunar New Year's.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. So those are different days, and that's awesome. Awesome. Anybody else want to share what they do in regards to tradition or heritage? Well, I think another thing that we do is I know typically a lot of people like to open up presents, early morning on Christmas. We open them at midnight on the 24th. So we wait up. You too, Stephen? Yeah. waiting all day making food and waiting till midnight so all the kids can start ripping into stuff. It's always that tradition.
They get to go to sleep.
Exactly. And then I think the 26th then would be the day where we do Dia de los Reyes. So that translates to the Day of the Kings, so the three kings in the Bible story. So then we'll have an extra present for the kids that day. Remember one of my years they brought a bike and that was really cool. There's a lot of, so again, a lot of these traditions, guys, a lot of these parts of heritage really grow movements, like we saw with Chicano movement, we saw with the Virgin Mary, and they move people forward so that for this instance, people are able to go to school, we're not segregated and we're not looked at as a certain just type of people. So again, once class ends, I'll go up around and then we'll sign up on your exit ticket. Great job today, guys. It was a really good lesson. You guys did amazing on that.
Thank you.